All right, that should work. I think everything is working. This is so weird going from Twitch to YouTube. Like, this is a completely different platform and everything is set up differently. And like, here, I'll show you actually. So right now, everything looks like it's working. In theory, everything is working here, right? I'm a little bit delayed, but that's okay. But then like I had it scheduled, but when I went live in Streamlabs, it like just started a whole brand new stream and the description was different and I didn't have anything like that. And so, that was so annoying. So annoying. So today I just wanted to do a quick birthday stream just to, you know, say, hey, thank you all very much for your support. Hang out. Why not? What else are we doing? Right? Let's see, there's supposed to be a chat box right now. Whatever, it's fine. There's supposed to be a chat thing right now, but whatever, it's fine. So I just wanted to hang out, just watch a couple videos. So I had 2 planned so far. So I don't know whether I'll use this view. I'll probably use this view. Yeah, this makes more sense. So I got How to Survive Victorian London by Blue Jay. And I got The Lost Colony of Roanoke, which is a really, really interesting colony in North America. It was like one of the first colonies that eventually everyone on the colony disappeared. They all disappeared and no one knows what happened to them. So I thought that would be pretty cool. What's up, Bhakti? And I'm sorry for totally mispronounced that. My apologies. Apologies for that one. Thank you very much. Will you be seeing the Great War today? If you're referring to Minecraft, I'll get to that. I will get to that. Because I know that you guys... I mean, we have a Minecraft server, in case anyone here plays Minecraft. I think it went for about 2 weeks without any conflict, and now it's broken into a ginormous war, because of course. You know, are you even surprised? Alternatively, too, there's also a Sabaton video that I forgot to pull up here, which is the Warsaw Uprising. Right? Hey, it's me. So that's the Warsaw Uprising, Sabaton. Yes, this is the one. Wait, no, it's Sabaton History, I think. Which is like the full video that actually gets into the history and everything like that. Actually, oh, damn it. It was just connected there for a second. Yeah, it was just connected there for a second. Anyway, so I have that one as well. So there's a few. There's a few choices that we could make here. Yeah. Yeah, of course, that war. Of course. So yeah, those are the main 3. And then I also just wanted to open it up to any questions, anything that you might want to ask. If you have any questions at all, I have no idea. Yeah, put them in there. And this is not like my first live stream or anything. I've spent hundreds of hours of my life. Spent hundreds of hours of my life streaming on Twitch, so this is not like a new format or anything like that. It's just using the YouTube tools is a little bit different in this sense. So, yeah, other than that, nothing really else to say. I'm 27 years old now, which feels which feels very, very, I don't know. It kind of feels old, but not really. Yeah, so 27 now. Yeah, I don't know how to feel about that. 27 feels like a weird age. I would assume that most of you here in the chat are younger than me. I would assume. Braden, I know you're not younger than me. Hey, what's up? But it's sort of like this awkward middle where like it's not quite 30, it's not quite 25. Like I don't really have, what would you say, that sort of permission to be like, just go do something crazy and be like, oh, I'm gonna go study interior design or something, right? Or I'm gonna go study history, which I actually have a little bit of news on that one, but I'll get to that. So yeah, like 27 now, and oh yeah, hold on. There we go. Boom. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, so 27 now, and it's a little weird in that sense. Yeah, like you're supposed to be responsible and, you know, everything like that, and I have a job and I do YouTube and stuff like this, but, you know, it's fine. It's fine. I also moved across the entire world, which I will be back in Toronto on the 15th of December, so I'll do a couple videos from Toronto. Fuse, what's up, brother? Wie geht's dir heute, Mann? Lange nicht gesehen, ne? Tut mir leid für alles, was passiert ist, ne? Tut mir echt leid. Und ich kann später mit dir sprechen, was passiert ist. Und das war eigentlich mein Fehler. Also tut mir sehr leid, das meine ich echt. So yeah, so going back to Toronto and time just flies by, man. Yeah, exactly. exactly. So, aber vielen Dank, Fuse. Vielen Dank. Right? So a little bit on the history front. I'm enjoying Goese Naturradler, so it's not even real beer, really. So a little bit of news on the history front. I've actually decided to, after I'm done my master's here in marketing, I think I'm going to go get a master's in history. I think I'm going to do it. So to make a long story short, oh, sorry, my stream's lagging. To make a long story short, right now I'm studying marketing at VU, which is also, it looks like the stream's like the chat here is like super delayed, but whatever. What was I going to say? Right, so I'm doing my master's in marketing at VU, which is the Wirtschaftsuniversität, and then I get a Rot-Weiß-Rot-Karte, so a red, white, red, which is the colors of the Austrian flag, which is basically like a permanent residence, right? After you get that, you can apply to other Austrian universities and they will waive the tuition fees. So you don't have to pay any tuition fees when you have this Rot-Weiß-Rot-Karte. So it basically means you have the rights of a citizen, but you can't vote, right? Obviously. And then they can deport you if you commit a crime, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't matter though. But I can go get a second master's at Uni Wien, which is the University of Vienna. Get this, guys. Get this, North Americans. There's probably a lot of Europeans here, but for North Americans, 20 euros. That's it. That's the tuition fee, is 20 euros a semester. So I thought in my head, I was like, I've always wanted to study history. I study business because, well, you know, sometimes that's how reality goes. And so I figured, you know what? Why not? I might as well go do it. Like, you know, might as well go do it. Because HGram, I mean, you're studying history right now. Like, you're literally doing what I wanted to do when I was 19, 20 or whatever. So, you know. So thank you. Thank you very much, Euro Jungle. Thank you. I know this is your YouTube account. So thank you very much. So yeah, we'll see. That's something I want to do. So then I can finally put into the YouTube titles, I can put, instead of a history fan, I can put historian. Ooh, historian reacts. Because like vlogging through history, who makes fantastic content, he always does the historian reacts. But it turns out he just has a bachelor's in history from the University of Ohio, which I don't really know. I wouldn't really consider that a historian, but who cares? It's YouTube, right? Who cares? Right, so he can say historian reacts, and then when I'm studying, I can say history student reacts or historian reacts, or whatever, right? And then that'll help in the juicy YouTube algorithm. Yeah, that might blow American minds, but coming from a country or university is totally free. Yeah, so in our North American minds, to be able to get an education for 20 euros that's like bananas. Completely, it's insane, right? It's like unheard of. Also, how is this doing? Okay, good. Everything's good. It's like unheard of to be able to do that. So, yeah, precisely. So I took history last year and it was hard, and I'm bad at writing. That's the thing. I love writing. So thank you very much. I wish I could pronounce those characters who just wrote in chat there. I apologize. I don't. That looks like Russian to me. I know it's definitely Cyrillic. So thank you very much. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Thank you. I appreciate it. Historian who still doesn't know anything about close to anything about the Middle Ages. You mean me? Yeah, I know. I don't know anything about the Middle Ages. I'm not even going to try to pretend that I know anything about the Middle Ages. I really don't. Now I accidentally don't worry. I'll have it up. We'll get to the videos in like 5 minutes or something. In like 5 minutes. Yeah, we'll get to those. See? Don't worry. We're back. Don't worry. Sabaton video didn't go anywhere. It's pronounced Damien. Okay, cool. Thank you very much for the birthday wishes. Do it, Christoph. Make me a post. Or if I make another Call Me Ezekiel video, message him again, because that was amazing. That was like 1,000 views in less than 24 hours, which was kind of crazy, actually. Just discovered your channel today and already subscribed. Happy birthday. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. No thanks. I appreciate it. Okay, I'm Russian. Okay, gotcha. College in Scotland is free for 3... Really? College in Scotland is free? I thought the UK, like, you had to pay everywhere. Huh. Okay, that's kind of cool. I didn't even know that. I mean, I paid $40,000 for my bachelor's. Yeah, so in total it was $40,000. But to be fair, right? The Army paid for a quarter of it. Then I got some grants from my unit, which was another $8,000 or so. Sorry, $4,000. And then the government gives you grants and stuff like this. And then, and so then it's a little bit less money in that sense. So it was really only like $20,000, but whatever. Is there any part of history that really bores me? I wouldn't say that there's any part of history that really bores me, but I would say that there are definitely more parts that I'm interested than others. So for example, like the 20th century history stuff is way more interesting to me than, for example, the Middle Ages or anything like this. But I would probably say between the period of pre-Middle Ages, like I would say around the years 500 to 1000, probably, right? But it's not to say that nothing interesting happened then, but like I can't, the thing is, it's so far removed from from how our world is now. And that's what I find so interesting about, for example, 20th century history and World War I, and using an example of the video that I'm going to be getting to this week. You know, that's what I find so interesting about it, is that you can look at these events and you can see it's like, oh, I get it. I can see how, for example, the borders of, oh my God, chat's just like, anyways, I can see how the borders of certain countries are still affected to this day by insert here, right? For example, why is Greece and Turkey still fighting over, well, they're not fighting an active war, but why is there still conflict over certain regions, right? Why is Cyprus not, recognized as Turkey, right? Why is Northern Cyprus only recognized by Turkey? And you can see the sort of links here, right? Why is Germany, the size it is today? Why does France look like it is today? Why do certain government structures exist? Why does, for example, just off the top of my head, like the Nordic systems, right? Where do these come from? And although this wasn't starting in the 20th century, this was obviously starting in the 19th century. And I think the things that are a little bit closer to us, I find a little bit more interesting. Middle Ages in general was a mess, so beautiful. True. It was a giant mess, right? You should really check out the Bulgarian-Byzantine Wars. I'll get to that. Or join the Patreon, I'll do it there. To me, anything before the early 1700s and after the late 70s is boring to me because of the warfare being the same. I prefer that period where it was much different in terms of tactics and weaponry. That's fair. That was one thing that I did, is on the Patreon. I don't know if you guys have seen it. But, you can see how much I make a month. There you go. It's 11 euros a month. Exclusive information. So on the Patreon, I've done 12, so I've done 3 video series so far. So I did one on Sun Yat-sen. So I'll be covering like Asian history, which is something I don't know anything about. And then I did the 5-part series on the Great Northern War by Epic History TV. And that was 2.5 hours long. And so one thing that I really wanted to understand was like, how does this look, right? Because I can picture conflict in the First World War and the Second World War and even up to the late 1800s, but in the early 1800s, like in this case, the Great Northern War, the early 1700s, I just can't picture what it looks like, right? Because, films and TV shows are a great way of just visualizing what this looks like. But, you obviously have paintings too. But when I was looking into it afterwards in the Great Northern War, like, man, these battlefields were just brutal, unbelievably brutal and close and bloody and just savage, just absolutely savage, right? And so I'm getting a little bit more interested in, shifting back a little bit, probably around the 1700s or so. But yeah, will you delve into Asian history and time? Yeah, for the patron, that's the easiest one, because for my videos overall, like I like to actually know something about the topic so that I can pause and go, okay, well, here you go, and I can give a little bit more information onto it. Asian history, I can't do that at all. Unless it has something to do with World War II or the First World War, nothing. So So it is something that I'd want to get into a little bit more, but at the current moment, probably not as much. But again, it's something that I need to get into. Serbian Empire lasted for 20. Yeah, true. People interested in history try not to be obsessed with war challenge. Yes, it's always about war. But the other thing too is like how the politics work, right? That's what I find really cool. War is hell no matter the era, but especially back then. Yeah, exactly. The gunpowder, man, the line battles. Like, you can only picture what a cavalry charge is like, right? And I know what I looked up. I mean, of course, there's no film back in the 1700s. There's no pictures back in the 1700s. Klar. But, you know, just looking at the reenactments, and obviously they're just reenactments and they're just films. I know, I understand. But when you read about the events that took place, and you can only imagine what a cavalry charge is like. Unbelievable. Video you should watch, Culloden 1964, react to some clips of it. It's one of the few film pieces that really depict the brutality and horror of 18th century war in a really unique manner. Cool. Can you send that to me on Discord? I will totally forget if you don't send that to me on Discord. That sounds really good. Watch The First Crusade by Epic History TV. That's probably 3.5 hours long. What about the Canada versus Denmark? The Whiskey War? Okay, that's not really a war. And it ended last year over that stupid rock in the middle of nowhere in Nunavut? Or something like that? Right? So, have you seen the trench warfare in Ukraine? Yeah, not to get onto, hyper modern topics, but war is hell. No matter what. But, yay. It's in collaboration with Brandon F. Okay, I've never heard of that channel before. Which topic do you like more, World War I or World War II? World War II. I remember when I was a kid, I wonder if I can, some of the North Americans or one sec, World War II book illustrations. Man, I'm not going to be able to find it. It was, so when I was a kid, yeah, it's going to be really tough to find. Maybe the Americans will know what I'm talking about here. It's like, it's not like for kids. Anyways, so it kind of looks like this, right? Where they would have these topics and it would be on tons of different things, and they're for kids. So they would have like trains, planes, trains, automobiles, I don't know what else, art, interior design, furniture, dresses, whatever. And it would literally, like, they would all look the same, where at the top there would be a red title and it would say planes, trains, automobiles, whatever, and then there'd be pictures around. And inside the book, they would basically just break down the topic and it would just have pictures of said topic. And when I was a kid, when I was maybe 8, I had a World War II one, and I read that thing front to back, I don't even know how many times. And really since then, since I was like 7 or 8, I've really just been, again, studying is a heck of a word, but really just been, that's it. This is it. DK Eyewitness Books. Yep. So hold up. DK Eyewitness Books. Yeah, so they'd have one on Egypt, the human body, World War II. Yeah, so if anyone knows what this book is, if it would load. Oh, please don't tell me my stream died. No, you're still good. Okay, good. All right, so yeah, so they would have, this exact book, right? So they would have this book, and I read this thing, like I said, covered front to back so many times. And so this really started my interest when I was like literally a kid. So since then, World War II. Excuse me. Imagine horses galloping at you 30 kilometers an hour while it takes you half a minute to reload. Yeah, so just talking about cavalry charges, just Wahnsinn. If you're into World War I era and are interested in learning about Asian history, I recommend the Russo-Japanese War. It was basically where World War I tactics were first used, like a beta version. So I know a little bit about that. I don't know too much about the details. I know that the outcome was obviously an overwhelming Japanese victory. The dumbest Russian voyage no one talks about is also in that. And I know that it's obviously a very important event in Japanese history and in Russian history. But yes, I read a German, Atlas der Geschichte, and since then I've really enjoyed about learning World War I. Yeah, so a book I'm reading right now. Oh, ready? Okay, 1 sec. This takes me 1 second, don't worry. This happens sometimes. There we go. So I'm reading a book right now by Ian Kershaw, shocking, my favorite history author, and it's Europe 1900 to 1949, and it talks about World War One, obviously quite a bit, in sort of a macro scale, which is really good for these like reaction videos where you can just pause and then add some more details, but not get really, really into it. Though I like reading those details as well personally, but I can read this much faster. What was I saying? Right, it was just like the lead up to World War One was so stupid, like so preventable, and it was just a couple decisions made by a few people that they just sort of snowballed into at the time, the world's greatest conflict. And it's just sad to read about these emperors that are, for example, Kaiser Wilhelm, that on the, mere days before World War One, he's still conversing with Tsar Nicholas II, trying to prevent Russian mobilization. But due to the pressures of the German government and obviously the parliament the Kaiser being responsible to parliament, that he basically goes into it and he just sleepwalk into World War One, right? So, yeah, I know the books you're talking about. Yeah, see, Braden, you know what I'm talking about. This is Canadian. Hey, what's up, Matt? Can't wait to see you in Canada, buddy. Thank you very much. I'll be there in 10 days. You'll guys see some videos from my room, my actual room that I had growing up. Was this book about World War II historically correct, looking back at it? I'd have to look at it again. I actually have it at home. And yeah, so we'll have a look at that. I remember it mostly, but just pictures. So actually, maybe that could be a fun video, sort of like looking at Hey, John, thank you very much for the birthday wishes. Do you remember this book when we were growing up? Do you remember getting this from the library at Birchcliff? This was like one of my favorite books. Anyways, hey, video, it's Sugarbush. Okay, what's up, buddy? How goes? As a German historian said, der Erste Weltkrieg stimmt. Unbedingt. Imagine simply trying to kill your leader and end up directly killing millions. Yep. So ist es. Leider so. Okay, I think I've talked enough here. Or maybe if you have any final questions, and I'm curious, John, if you're still here, if you remember this book at all. Of course. See, there we go. There's a German interview with a nephew of Kaiser Wilhelm II. Really? Have you noticed the new Discord thing on the top left? What? The new Discord thing on the top left. I have no idea what you're talking about. No, I have no clue what you're talking about, unfortunately. Hold on, let me pull the chat up here again. There we go. As a German historian said, der Erste Weltkrieg wurde nicht verursacht, weil die Menschen keinen Frieden wollten, sondern weil sie nicht am Wow, really? Who said that? That's a fantastic quote. Der Erste Weltkrieg wurde nicht verursacht, weil die Menschen keinen Frieden wollten, sondern weil sie nicht an Frieden glaubten. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the first video essays that I'd like to do, which I have a little goal of 5 people on the Patreon. So right now we have 4 patrons, and thank you very much for your support. You know who you are. Thank you. And once I hit 5, I'm going to do my first video essay. And the plan was to do how democratic backsliding post-World War I, and the title's a little rough, but how democratic backsliding post-World War I led to World War II. So basically how authoritarianism pretty much immediately swept through most of Europe after World War I, when it was supposed to really implement democracy, right? And obviously not just Versailles, but the multiple treaties that were going on, Wilson's 13 points, 12 points, whatever it is, and how democracy completely failed in Europe post-World War I and led to a lot of the authoritarian governments that would then later be fascist governments, and really how that led to the Second World War. So that's one thing I'd like to do. Armchair Historian has an interesting video regarding the evolution of weapons, 1837 and 1901. Yeah, that'd be cool, actually. Yeah, you're right. Because that's another thing, is I'm not a gun nut. I know how weapons function, and obviously in my it's hard to say I'm still in the, I mean, technically I'm still in the, anyways, in the decade in the army, I've obviously shot a bunch of weapons, but yeah. Well, the assassin got what he wanted. Yeah, we'll talk about that. I'll talk about that in the World War I video that I got coming up. I'll talk about that. What does it mean? So it basically means like the first verursachen will not be like noticed, will not be, what's a good translation of verursachen? Hold on. Quapsil, no worries, I got this one. Verursachen. To create. Yeah, I'd probably say to create. Oh, he's already got me. The war didn't start because people didn't want peace, but because they didn't believe in peace. There you go. Perfect. Yep. Greetings from Southern Austria. Ah, grüß dich. Servus. Du kommst aus Südösterreich. Na klar. Okay. Grüß dich. Servus. Habe die Ehre. As a person wounded... Fair enough. You probably had a support role in the army, weren't you? Yes, I was a purple trade. I was not an infantry. I was not an infanteer. I was a signaler. So I did everything with the radio and communications. That text box is way too big. Hold on, let me make that a little bit smaller. There we go. Yeah, I was a purple trade, so I was in the signal corps. World War I was avoidable. It's just a matter of time. Absolutely, yeah. So not to say that there was not going to be a large conflict in Europe. Definitely. But in the same way that it happened and as devastating as it was, maybe. Causing, true. I don't speak German, so I'm quite curious. Yeah, so what he said is the war didn't start because people didn't want peace, but because they didn't believe in peace. Which is really good, actually. German sounds like Sims language if you listen right. No, that's Finnish. Sorry. Apologies, but that's definitely Finnish. Rather than German. It's a beautiful language, man. I've spent the last 4 years of my life learning it. It's a beautiful, beautiful language. I really, it's a lot of fun. It's super annoying at times, and articles can be a nightmare. And some of the cases too, like Plusquamperfekt. Ugh, Alter. No thanks. It sounds like you're screaming? That's not true. You can totally like raise your voice a little bit in German and it doesn't sound like screaming or anything. I mean, pre-World War I was just a huge arms race. Yes, exactly, right? And I mean, that's the thing, is that World War I almost kicked off anyways. That's the main... kicked off before 1914, right? There was 1910, there was that big event. Oh, God, what happened? It was something to do with the Navy. See, I don't remember off the top of my head, but 1910, there was also a little powder keg moment that almost set it off, but... Hey, what's up, the car? World War I would have happened. It would have been even more brutal with every year that it didn't happen. Interesting point, actually. I hadn't considered it quite like that. That's a good point. Hold on. Let me make that just a little bit bigger. Canadian count sound angry? Nah, that's not true. Thank you. The Agadir Crisis of 1912. That was it. Thank you very much. Yep, that was in the book as well that I was reading. I just couldn't quite remember the exact event. Imagine World War I with the nukes invented. I mean, that's... It would have taken... how long would it have taken until nukes were... Would nukes have ever been invented if not for World War I, really? Come on. What was the Agadir Crisis? So that happened in Morocco. It was a naval conflict. I think it was between France and Germany, and basically words were exchanged. Someone did something, I don't exactly remember, but it did have to do with ships, and it was in Morocco. And so that was the thing. When is the video going to start? Sorry, I keep answering questions. I'm sorry. I can't help it. You guys keep throwing them at me, so. Atomic grenades. Oh, what? Nightbot, what are you doing, bro? Ah, man, you shouldn't have deleted those messages. Oh well. American Civil War content when? Good point. I have to get to Oversimplified's American Civil War content. I'll probably do that one first. I mean, I think I made a mistake with the France Country series in that I'm going to be doing like 17 videos just about France. And what I've noticed is that with the Russian series, and Damien, if you're still here, and that was Christoph translating that, so... Damien, if you're still here, the Russia Country series was amazing, and there was tons of Russians in the comments and got to speak to them and hear their opinions about their country and their history, and that was great, right? The France Country series, not at all. Not at all. So 30% of the viewers on the Russia Country series were Russian. France, it's like 6%. It's like literally like no one. Right? Like there's no French people watching the French country series, and that's kind of like what I wanted to happen is like if you do a country series on France, you would get French people there talking about France. That would be fun, right? It grows the audience, etc. But they're just not there. I think it's maybe a language thing, right? I would imagine that probably French people watch more French YouTube content. But I know if I do a Germany one, then the Germans are going to show up. Whenever you talk about Germany and you're not German, the Germans are just, they're instantly there. Instantly there. Who's the most attractive historical figure for you? FDR when he was a young guy. Hold on, I'll show you guys. FDR. There's this one photo of him. Yeah, this is it. Look at that. Whew. Whew. Is this not true? Oh, it's miscaptioned. Oh, it's his father. Okay, well then his father then. Okay, so I always thought this picture. There you go, that's probably the one. But in terms of women, I don't know. Can't think off the top of my head. Can't think. French people just don't want to learn. Sorry, just to get back onto on the France country series, but yeah. So yeah, they're just not there. They're just not there. So that was kind of disappointing. I mean, I'm still having fun because I'm still learning about the country, and obviously France is a super important country. But you know, the sort of goal to sort of outreach to French people just kind of failed. Oh well, it's fine. Did the American Revolution help inspire the French Revolution? No, not really. That's actually quite a common misconception. Or wait, sorry, did I read that wrong? Did the American Revolution help inspire the French Revolution? Sorry, I read that wrong. Yine. Yine. So that's sort of a yes, no, kind of. I mean, Thomas Jefferson was obviously in France, that he helped write the document which would go and found the French Republic. He was obviously influential in that sense, and some of the ideas he certainly brought back with him, right? I mean, this is a man that's famous for saying that, you know, the tree of liberty must be cultivated with the blood of tyrants, right? And so this was obviously some influence from the French Revolution. So I would say yes, sort of, but not as much as, you know, completely one-to-one inspiration. I remember one of my favorite stories is I was in Berlin, and this woman asked the tour guide, that we were doing a walking tour thing. This woman asked, she's like, how much did Ronald Reagan bring down the Berlin Wall? And I think the tour guide in the nicest way possible said Ronald Reagan played maybe 1% of a role in bringing down the Berlin Wall, which, yeah, it's kind of true. But, you know, in America and Canada, and this happens in every country, is that, you know, you obviously look at the role that your country played in an event and you sort of overemphasize it a little bit. Did Christoph? Oh my God, he got timed out for 10 minutes? Wow. Get burned. Nice. Yeah, he got completely destroyed. Yeah, free Christoph, man. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Rip, bro. Anyways, yeah, so inspired it somewhat, but yeah, the young Napoleon too. True, young Napoleon's also it's quite an attractive guy. Sorry, I'm going to be going now, but I have an essay. The media in the democratic state, fourth power or instrument of the power. It's a cool topic. That's actually a really cool topic. All right. With that being said, I think we've gone on to. Hey, what's up, Tom? What's up, buddy? I think we've gone on a long enough time here with some Ask Me Anythings. I think, actually no, I'm going to do four more minutes. Then I can say perfectly, it's been 45 minutes, fertig. So if you have any other questions, feel free to put them down below. 4 minutes, I will start the first video, which is going to be How to Survive Victorian London by Blue Jay. Bye, guy. Cheers. Happy birthday, buddy. I have to head out and get ready for work. Look forward to seeing you. All the best, buddy. I'll see you in 10 days. Well, okay, not on the same day, but probably like 14 days, at least. Something like this. Best DJ gig you've ever played? You already know. Government. Obviously, Government. When we got to play that in Toronto, that was mucho bueno. And my camera keeps going out of sync. You should stream more often. If you guys like this and you're having fun, I'm having fun. I'm really enjoying this. Then yeah, of course I can stream more often. I can definitely stream more often. Found the wristband stuff in my stuff yesterday. I still have it actually. It's sitting on my shelf there. Ja, I will stream so often. Sobald die deutsche Serie kommt es so ein Völkerreich, ein Kommentarbereich. Woher kommt das denn? Ich habe davon nie gehört. Sobald die deutsche Serie kommt, heißt es ein Völkerreich, ein Kommentarbereich. Okay. Stimmt. Yeah, so I can definitely stream more often. And maybe we'll cut up these videos and put them onto the main channel. Fun fact, my great-grandfather died mysteriously. Oh. Wait, what? My great-grandfather died mysteriously a few days ago before he tried to hold a rally against British colonial authorities, and everyone in my family believed that the British killed him? I mean, that's not fun. But I'm confused though of the timeline on this one. But I mean, I'm sorry that your grandfather passed, but I'm just a little bit confused on the explanation there. But either way, that is terrible. Yikes. Yeah, I mean, my grandmother passed like 7-8 years ago, and my grandfather now is 87. 87 years, man. He was born, 19? He was born before the war. God, he was born before World War II. Wahnsinn. Haitian Revolution content when? Don't know. I would presume British Raj as well. If it's a great-grandfather, so he's probably born around the same time as my grandfather then. Before the Second World War or so. Because you're Sri Lankan, right? Yeah, okay, so that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. All right. With that, let's do it. How to Survive Victorian London by Blue Jay. I'm trying to think, should I have the chat on the screen? Probably not, because I don't know where to put it. So I'd probably have to get rid of the V. Yeah, I'd probably have to get rid of that and then go from there.
Do you ever watch Downton Abbey?
I haven't, actually. So yeah, so let's check this out. I really liked the last Blue Jay video. I know this one's just a little bit of a fun thing. It's only like 12 minutes long. And then we'll get to some Sabaton as well. The British in India were horrific. That's putting it lightly. Yes, you should research the 1911 Sinhai, which is basically China overthrowing a monarchy for a new republic. I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because I kind of already have. There's a series on the Patreon. If you want to be a patron, feel free. Thank you very much for all your support. You know who you are. Where I looked at Sun Yat-sen and his role in that. And so I kind of already know where that is. Kind of. Serbian Giga Chad grandma lives with 95 years. Yeah. I gotta go now. It's past midnight over here. Take care, buddy. Thank you very much for joining in. And let me just check one thing. $5 to anyone who knows who my screensaver is. Okay, there we go. All right. Let's do it.
Abbey and find yourself thinking, I should have been born in the Victorian era. Well,
Nope.
You're stupid. Firstly, because Downton Abbey takes place 11 years after the Victorian era, silly goose. And secondly, because life in Victorian London would be absolutely terrifying for someone accustomed to the luxuries of the 21st century. But let's say you somehow end up in a Freaky Friday situation and switch bodies with a bona fide Victorian. How are
Man, I think I saw that movie 3 times when I was a kid, but anyways.
you going to survive the London streets? Not to worry. With my extensive background studying history, certified by my 90,000 Reddit karma, I'm here to teach you everything you need to know to survive the Victorian era.
So that's another period of history that I think I'd like to look more into, is the Victorian era overall, because obviously it's the golden period of British history. It's also, well, not quite, but one of the heights of the British Empire, and an incredibly important realm for not only European history, but for English history as well, which is a whole beast in and of itself, is just studying English history. And I mean, you can get a PhD in that alone, so yeah. I love his random intro. I think it's fantastic.
Alright, so you just finished your Disney Channel style body swap and have officially transported over a century back in time to Victorian London. Gah! What? What is it, James? My body? What's happening? It looks like during the body swap you've received a lethal dose of gamma radiation. Oh, and your hairline is receding. My hair? Oh yeah, actually 2 out of every 3 guys will experience some form of hair loss by the time they're 35. But about
Is this
that
an ad?
radiation. Boucher, how do I keep it?
I was literally waiting for that to be a hair loss ad. That was going to be perfect.
Alright, weird priorities. Well, really the best way to combat hair loss would be with Keeps. It's a fantastic doctor-recommended online service that offers clinically proven
I know it.
treatment to stop hair loss
I know
and
it.
improve hair growth. They're customer-focused with a 24/7 care and support network of experts to
That was
prevent
pretty
hair
good. That was pretty good. I got to admit. I'll give him
Hair
that.
loss stops with prescription. That's KEEPS.
By the way, guys, the moment that I do like sponsored content or anything like that, sorry, I just need to move one thing. The moment that I do sponsored content, it's over. It's all downhill from there.
.com/BlueJay. Thank you, Keeps, for sponsoring the video. Of course, Alex, you're gonna have to wait a few centuries until you've got internet again, as you're now in Victorian London. The city is booming from the results of the Industrial Revolution. The air is dense, but the stunning Gothic Revival architecture still manages to pierce through all the smog. It's a city of rapid expansion and expensive projects, starkly contrasted by the overflowing slums. But man, taking in all these new sights is really starting to make you thirsty, so you head on over to a well pump for a fresh sip of water. First mistake! What are you, crazy? You won't even survive a day here. You can't drink the water. Cholera outbreaks are about as common as an office quote in a Tinder bio. The booming population.
Yeah, and so this is a funny thing too. Is like a lot of people talk about wanting to like go back to the past, and you know how the past was so much better and everything was better 50 years ago. And while obviously in some countries that might have been the case because of the development that they've had, you know, over the past 10 years or something, maybe 10 years ago, life was better there. Hey, sure, fair enough. I don't know about every country on earth. But if you look in an overall scale at how much humanity has advanced, it is staggering. So for example, since 1990, poverty has halved, right? And the amount of people that are living in abject poverty is half of what it was in 1990, which is just astonishing, right? Infant mortality rates down more than 80%, right? Literacy rates skyrocketing since 1990. And the whole world is just such a better place than it was 60, 70, 80 years ago. And definitely compared to Victorian London, when people would take their chamber pots, which if you don't know what that is, just have a quick Google, and then they would throw it out the window. Very sanitary, I know.
Population of London, combined with newly introduced indoor plumbing, resulted in overwhelming amounts of raw sewage. This sewage ended up in the Thames River, which happens to be London's main source of drinking water, thus completing the circle of life. During one cholera outbreak, John Snow, a supporter of germ theory, looked at all this sewage in their drinking water and had the hot take of, hey, what if we drink water, but without the poop? And ended the outbreak by ripping off the handle of a contaminated well pump. At the time, the community believed in the miasma theory, basically the idea that diseases were transmitted through foul odors. So government officials still rejected Snow's theory of fecal oral transmission, stating, "Germs in the water? Don't be ridiculous. It was stinky air." And this wouldn't be the last time a Jon Snow's potential was shattered. So unless you want to die a painful death, I suggest...
So this is another thing that I just sometimes don't understand too, is like... It seems so obvious by today's standards, but I don't know, man. There's like that part of me that just goes, God, you guys, like, that's unfair to do. That's unfair to do, is to judge the past by what we know now, of course. But just sometimes when you learn about stuff like this, you're like, you know?
Boiling your water, or just stick to hard liquor, where the alcohol will not only kill any germs, but also help drown that regret you're starting to feel for wishing to be in Victorian London, instead of shutting up and playing Wordle like a good little consumer. Alright, now that you're properly shit-faced, you're gonna need to pinpoint your social class so you know who you're allowed to interact with. But isn't who I am inside more important than some social class?
No.
No! Simply talking to a social class higher than yours is enough to get you arrested here. Luckily, it's rather easy to find out which one you belong to. For example, are you over the age of 25 and alive? Then you're probably not in the lower class, as male tradesmen and laborers had life expectancy.
And at this point, child labor, that's a new word. Child labor is completely legal, right? That's another thing to point out here too.
Of 25 and 22 respectively. But let's say you find yourself a member of the respectable upper class. What can you expect from your newly found privileged life? Well, first off, you can kiss the thought of a hard day's work goodbye, because with the fortune your family has built over generations through certainly non-exploitive means, you'll never have to work a day in your life. So instead, you're gonna have to find out how to kill all this free time you got on your hands. Being a person with enough wealth to buy a handful of developing nations, or one GPU, you decide to use your money to give back to the poor people whose blood, sweat, and Fossy Jaws helped you build your riches. So you buy tickets to next Tuesday's Freak Show. Freak shows were essentially the MCU of the...
So another thing, too, that's important to remember is that... oh, no, I totally lost my point. Now I'm thinking about freak shows. I got 2 points mixed up. Hold on. See, this is normally the part of the video where I would pause it and edit it. Right. I wanted to talk about free time. So what I find interesting is that, yes, during Victorian times, right, free time was considered the highest form of wealth. Luxury, recreation, being able to play sports, anything like this was the highest form of wealth. And what's interesting is that now in 2022, hustle culture and constantly being busy and having no time is somehow the sign of success, right? It's sort of like it's done this complete shift from what you think would progress on, where people would, with more free time, would be considered, sort of luxurious and whatnot. And now it's become the hustle culture of modern times, where when you have no time, it's sort of like, ooh, this guy must be important.
Victorian era, loved by people of all ages and social classes, except for pretentious people who prefer more refined entertainment, like seances. Everyone from your average Joe to Queen Victoria herself loved to goggle and laugh at all the different looking people performing. These freak shows showcase people with physical abnormalities, such as dwarfs, conjoined twins, giants, fat people, thin people, hairy people, ethnic people.
Yeah, and what's crazy too is look at this guy. So this guy was at one point, I think Chauncey Moreland was one of the fattest people on the planet, and now, I mean... You ever been to Walmart? I mean, I don't know how else to put it.
And whatever else they thought would pique people's curiosity. Gather round, folks, gather round, for I'm about to unveil the wonders of the world. Realities beyond your comprehension. Freaks from distant and foreign lands. Meet the man of hair. The precious Piper Pinky. And behold, Paul! I thought this was a freak show. Oh, trust me, Paul's a freak. However, the reign of freak shows came to an end as reports of mistreatment of the performers came to light, and the public was furious to find out that the people they went to laugh at for being less than human were being treated as less than human. But now that you've reached your limit of being near the working class who aren't actively carrying your dry martini on a silver platter, it's time for you to build your social status with your fellow aristocrats.
The other thing, too, is like human freak shows did not end. They ended way, way later than you would have thought. You'd think, oh, maybe these were done by the 1870s or, maybe 1900 or something. But no, they had human zoos in the 50s, right? I think it was, I don't remember which state it was, but it still had a human zoo going. And one of the last people to ever live in a human zoo, I don't remember his name, unfortunately, at the top of my head. But I think it was like in the 60s, right? That eventually he was not let out because he wasn't being held captive, obviously, but he had returned to the original country that he was taken from. And no, sorry, not taken from. He was born there, but his country of origin, if you will. And yeah, so up until the 1960s, it's crazy. Pretty sure hustle culture is a thing because it's easier to establish a baseline of survivable income, but challenging to come out ahead. So free time is still a measure of wealth. That's a good point of weighing in, actually. Chauncey was the fattest. I've seen heavier people in the streets of Florida. Yeah. I've never been to Florida, but I've seen bigger people in Walmart in Toronto. So just saying.
To do this, you're going to have to capitalize on some of the trends of the time. No, not child labor. We'll get to that later. I'm talking Egyptomania. Napoleon's campaigns in Egypt brought back trade and artifacts to Europe, eventually igniting a craze for all things Egyptian in the West due to its perceived exotic nature.
Yep, the Rosetta Stone, one of the most important discoveries of modern times, really.
This craze peaked during the Victorian era, and Victorians sure had interesting ways of indulging in this trend, such as hosting mummy parties. Not the Brendan Fraser kind, they weren't that based. Specifically, they held mummy unwrapping parties. Getting your hands on a mummy was the easy part. You could literally cop one from street vendors in Egypt like a pin from Disney World, but unwrapping them required a trained professional called an unroller. Why exactly they had to hire professionals to do some glorified banana peeling is beyond me, but I can only assume that their training involved a significant amount of fruit by the foot. Essentially, a bunch of people would gather round to watch the unroller unwrap the mummy and perform an autopsy, including cutting into the skull to go, oh my god, look, he's got a brain, that's crazy. Fragments of the pungent mummy wrappings were then passed throughout the audience for their, pleasure, I guess. What am I supposed to do with this? While today we recognize hosting an unboxing party for corpses and disgracing people's history is the most optimal way to speedrun a Twitter hashtag, the Victorians just couldn't help but satisfy their intrigue. And in their defense, they basically came gift-wrapped. But if you need any more convincing on how evil this practice was, the most famous unwrapper was a surgeon named Pettigrew. But overall, in the upper class, you won't need to worry all that much about staying alive.
Yeah, true. And a lot of artifacts are still have not been brought back to their original home to this day. And although this isn't just talking about Egypt, right? As you point out here, Mason, that India wants their diamond back after the Queen died. It's worth $400 million, right? The crown jewel of India. I was also reading that I think it's something like close to 70 to 80% of all the artifacts from, I want to say it's Nigeria, maybe it's Kenya, still have not been returned to those countries, even to this day.
Except for the arsenic in your walls, lead on your dolls, corsets in your torsos, cyanide in your photos, strychnine in your tablets, explosive bits of plastic, kitchens full of toxins, morphine for your youngins, mercury-coated hats, radiation for your glass, kerosene in hair products, and asbestos in just about everything. Good luck. But what if you aren't lucky enough to live the life of a Victorian Scrooge McDuck, and instead you find yourself living la vida pobre in the working class? Hold off on the booze there, buddy. As tempting of a coping mechanism alcohol is, we gotta make sure you even survive childhood first. Let's put you in a humble family of 7 kids, and shit, 4 of your siblings just died. What? Yep. Oh yeah, nearly 60% of working class children died before the age of 5. Good for you, champ, you won the coin toss. I need to lie down. So long as it's in a minor chimney, because it's time for you to get to work. I'm 5 years old. And about time you started contributing to the family, you lazy leech. Without child labor laws, working class kids started working as early as 4 years old. Now pick your poison, chimney sweeping or coal mining.
Yeah.
Well,
yep.
I suppose it's just a 9...
And I mean, they used children because they were smaller, right? And they could fit through the mines better. Yeah, no thanks. Oh, Nightbot is being so unfair to Kristoff. Oh, rip Kristoff, man. Free him.
9 to 5. No. Victorian children were expected to work 12 to 18 hours a day. Gotta beat out that optimism early. Besides, you've only got that small stature for so many years. Companies have to capitalize on your ability to squeeze in the tight spaces while you can. Now, these are still your formative years, so we gotta make sure you choose the child profession that'll cause the least amount of physical and emotional trauma. There were a lot, but let's narrow it down to chimney sweep and coal miner, and weigh some pros and cons. As a coal miner, you can expect some permanent eye damage due to eye strain from the dark environment, respiratory problems from coal dust, permanent spine deformation due to stooping, and of course there was the occasional explosion or cave-in. But on the bright side, you're essentially playing the closest Victorian equivalent to Minecraft. As for chimney sweeps, say goodbye to the skin on your elbows and knees as that's all getting scraped off. You'll experience some irreversible lung damage from all the soot, and there's a high risk of death from falling or getting stuck in the tight chimneys. But at least you can die happy knowing that when Mary Poppins comes out in 100 years, Dick Van Dyke will forever cement your profession as much cooler than it actually was. So assuming you survive your childhood profession, it's time for the big boy world. Now, I know the idea of living poor in a Victorian city is probably a terrifying concept, but don't worry, the Victorians actually put in some effort to help the poverty-stricken wastes of oxygen less fortunate folk. For example, if you're homeless, you can just...
And what's interesting though is that obviously all this is true. Obviously. But compared to 100 years ago, it was better to live in Victoria, London.
Cape to Cold did a penny sit-up, where for the small price of 1 penny, you get to sit on a bench in a shelter for the night. Whoa, now, don't get too crazy. You're not allowed to sleep here. What do you think you are, a human? You only paid for the privilege of sitting, and penny sit-ups even had monitors to ensure you didn't fall asleep. If you're looking to catch some Z's, you're gonna have to cough up an extra penny at a 2-penny hangover. Don't get too excited. Contrary to the name suggests, a 2-penny hangover is not a charity dive bar where you can drink yourself into an ethanol-induced coma.
Oh, that's a great name. Oh, that is a great name for a bar. Someone's got to take that.
Instead, it was a rope that you literally hung over. Not the most comfortable experience, but at least you'll be the coolest kid on campus with your minimalist hammocking setup. The rope was ideal because it allowed the staff to quickly dispense with all the poor people in the morning. But hey, maybe it was a good day at the factory and you walked out with 4 pennies in your pocket, you little aristocrat you. Well, you can afford to be a high roller and head on over to a 4-penny coffin. Yep. While it may look like you just got shipped back from the Crimean War, a 4-penny coffin was quite the step up from a rope, to be fair. You got to spend the night in a nice coffin, you had a tarp to keep warm, and you even got assigned your own little serial number, which is undoubtedly the closest you'll ever get to being acknowledged in your life. Speaking of life, you better get used to this one, as people didn't exactly graduate from social classes, so the only 4 walls you'll likely ever get to call home will be a coffin at best, or a coffin at worst. If you can afford it. But on the bright side, if you manage to survive through the era, you'll get to experience many of the following significant discoveries and advancements. America found its second manifest destiny with the discovery of crude oil in 1859. Charles Darwin published his book in the
There Will Be Blood. Fantastic movie, by the way. Can I watch The War in 13 minutes? Maybe. We'll see.
of evolution,
Let me finish this
that
first.
in a few centuries we may evolve past thinking Crocs are cool. Darwin's half-cousin, Francis Galton, took this research and started modern eugenics. Which led to problems. Alexander Graham Bell patents the telephone
To put it
in
lightly.
1876.
And another thing, too, is that eugenics actually was incredibly popular at the time. This is the worst part, is that eugenics was very, very popular for a very long time. Again, way longer than you think it would be. And, you know, it sort of all culminated in, obviously, Nazi Germany having a state-sponsored eugenic policy, though it was not the only one. Horrendous, eh?
A device that changed the world by allowing people to learn about their car's extended warranty. Germ theory would become accepted by the end of the Victorian era, and nobody would doubt doctors ever again. The 19th century saw many innovations
Nice.
in data visualization for statistics, which are used today for optimizing shiny Pokemon encounter strategies. The Bezimer process gave us bigger buildings for more people. Modern artillery gave us smaller buildings for less people. Radiation was discovered in 1896, leading the cancer treatment in Imagine Dragons. The Navier-Stokes equations were developed to describe the motion of viscous fluids and weed out chemical engineering students. And Carl Benz builds the world's first car while simultaneously killing the concept of peaceful suburban life. And those are just a few of the significant advancements made during the iconic Victorian era. So, Alex, are you excited for your new Victorian life?
Nope.
You want to go home and play Elden Ring? Good boy. The Victorian era. Disgusting and deadly, but inspired Bloodborne. 3 out of 10 stars.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And so that's the main thing, too, right? Is that all those advancements did make life better. Sort of, but it was still better than the 100 years before then. Cool. So that was the first one. There is this war that's going on. I don't know. What do we do? Can I hold an incredibly quick poll of what to do? Do I do the Sabaton videos? Do I put it on the Patreon? What do I do? Was mache ich? Well done. I'm trying to find something. I can't find it. Sure, this will work. Because I also got these 2 other ones too. The thing is, though, is that oh, fuck, that's way too loud. Jesus. Okay. I really like Blue Jay, though. Such a fun channel. Like, it kind of reminds me of Oversimplified, but it's, like, more comedy than anything like that. So, hold up. Actually, no, you know what? 1 hour here? Yeah, I think that's acceptable. I think next time... what I might do is I might do something where I don't specifically watch videos because I don't really feel that it works that well because like I'm just sort of, it doesn't feel right. So what I think I might do then next time is I'll do probably like a little Q&A thing that can be done during it, and then maybe I'll do like a tier ranking or something like this. Like maybe I could rank, I don't know, Canadian prime ministers. That would be an easier one. Maybe I could do like, you know, what could be funny is if I rank the quality of nations in World War I, like doing a tier ranking of the World War I nations or something like this, right? I think that could be kind of funny. Would be to do that or something along these lines, right? Something like that, because it's a little off just streaming the video, but hey, who knows? We'll see. I think then I will call it there. I'm going to do this video and I'm going to do this video, but I think I'll put it up on the Patreon because these were also suggested by patrons. So that's good for me too. And then I can go check out this Minecraft war. I'll have to make a post about the Minecraft war as well. And yeah, other than that, Austria-Hungary would be an S ranking. Oh, buddy, you know it. Nothing better than Austria-Hungary. Come on. So thank you all very much for joining me. Not on the first stream ever, but on the first YouTube stream on this specific channel. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. I like just answering you guys' questions and just hanging out with you guys here. And what I think I'll do is, like I said, I'll maybe try and do something, right? Rather than just sitting and watching the video, because it feels like I'm like in that space where like I'm recording, but I'm not recording and I can't pause, and I don't know, it feels a little off. At least I think, but let me know what you thought. Yeah, that's it for me. Thank you all very much for the birthday wishes. I guess this is growing up. 27. Yikes. But whatever. That's fine. So we'll go from there. Okay. Thank you all very much again. Thank you. I will do more of these, and maybe I'll probably schedule it for like a Saturday too, because that's going to make it way easier. Because right now on a Monday, so much. Temporal Wizard, thank you very much for the birthday wishes. Thank you. And yeah, I think that'll be it from me. Thank you all very much for joining. I very much appreciate it. Take care. See you in the next stream. See you in the next video. Got World War I Epic History TV coming up. If you're interested, join the Patreon, and then I'll react to anything you'd like. Too easy. Take care, guys. All the best.